The hard problem of consciousness, as proposed by philosopher David Chalmers, delves into the deep and complex nature of subjective experience, which is often referred to as qualia, and it raises fundamental questions about how and why we have these experiences at all. Chalmers distinguishes between what he calls the easy problems and the hard problem of consciousness. The easy problems, although challenging, focus on understanding the mechanisms of the brain, like how we process information, how we respond to stimuli, and how we can perform various cognitive functions. These problems, while difficult, can in principle be addressed through scientific inquiry, and they can be studied through empirical methods, such as neuroimaging and behavioral experiments. However, the hard problem is fundamentally different, as it deals with the question of why certain brain processes are accompanied by an experienced awareness, the rich inner life that comes with sensations, thoughts, and emotions. For instance, when we see the color red, the easy problems might explore how our eyes perceive light, how signals are processed in the brain, and how we recognize color. But the hard problem asks, what is it like to experience the color red? This question probes into the very essence of consciousness, seeking to understand how these experiences arise from physical processes in the brain and why they feel like something at all. Chalmers argues that while we can explain the functional aspects of consciousness, we still lack a clear understanding of the subjective experience itself. This distinction leads to a philosophical dilemma, suggesting that consciousness might not be fully reducible to physical explanations, which challenges our understanding of the mind-body relationship. Chalmers has even suggested that the hard problem might require new fundamental theories about consciousness, which could potentially involve non-physical properties or dimensions that are not currently accounted for in our scientific models. This philosophical exploration has sparked considerable debate and discussion among scientists, philosophers, and cognitive theorists. Some believe that advances in neuroscience will eventually bridge this gap, while others argue that subjective experience is fundamentally different from physical processes and thus might require a different framework altogether for understanding. The hard problem of consciousness continues to be a pivotal topic in fields of philosophy of mind, cognitive science, and neuroscience, as it challenges our assumptions about the nature of reality and our place within it, opening up avenues for further inquiry into the mysteries of the human mind. Integrated information theory, often abbreviated as IIT, is a fascinating framework for understanding consciousness. Developed by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi, at its core, IT suggests that consciousness corresponds to the capacity of a system to integrate information, meaning that the more interconnected and unified the information within a system is, the more conscious it becomes. To break this down, the theory posits that consciousness is not merely about the amount of information processed, but rather how that information is connected and combined. This leads to the idea of a quantity called phi, representing the degree of integrated information. A higher phi value indicates a higher level of consciousness, suggesting that the system has a rich tapestry of information that is not just a collection of separate parts, but a cohesive whole. In practical terms, IIT identifies several key characteristics of consciousness. First, it emphasizes that consciousness is both informative and differentiated. This means that conscious experiences contain a wealth of information that is unique and distinct, allowing for the rich diversity of thoughts and feelings we experience. Moreover, the theory highlights the importance of causal power, asserting that conscious experiences can influence and shape our actions and perceptions. This causal aspect is essential because it ties consciousness to our ability to respond to the environment and make decisions. IIT also addresses the question of which systems might possess consciousness. According to the theory, consciousness can arise in any system that has the right kind of integrated information, regardless of whether it is a human brain, an animal brain, or even potentially artificial intelligence systems. This idea opens up intriguing discussions about the nature of consciousness in non-human entities and the ethical implications of creating conscious machines. Furthermore, IIT challenges traditional views by suggesting that consciousness is not simply a byproduct of brain activity, but instead it is an intrinsic property of certain systems. This perspective raises questions about the subjective nature of experience, as it argues that consciousness is fundamentally tied to the way information is structured and integrated within a system, making it a unique phenomenon that cannot be fully explained by standard neural correlates alone. In summary, integrated information theory provides a profound and intricate understanding of consciousness, focusing on the integration of information, the uniqueness of experiences, and the potential for various systems to exhibit consciousness, all while emphasizing the causal relationship between conscious states and action. Its implications stretch far beyond neuroscience, inviting us to reconsider how we define consciousness itself and what it truly means to be aware. Panpsychism is a fascinating philosophical view that suggests that consciousness is a fundamental and pervasive feature of the universe, meaning that everything, from the smallest particles to the largest systems, possesses some form of consciousness or mental property. One of the key principles of panpsychism is its rejection of the idea that consciousness only arises in complex organisms, like humans or animals, arguing instead that even simple entities like atoms and molecules may have some basic form of awareness or experience. This perspective challenges the traditional view that consciousness is solely a product of complex biological processes, proposing instead that consciousness is a fundamental aspect of reality, much like space, time, and matter. Another important principle of panpsychism is its emphasis on the idea of a continuum of consciousness, suggesting that there are various degrees or levels of consciousness throughout the universe. According to this view, complex beings, like humans, have richer and more intricate experiences compared to simpler entities. But that does not mean that simpler entities lack consciousness altogether. This continuum implies that consciousness exists in varying forms and intensities, allowing for a more inclusive understanding of mental states across different types of beings. Panpsychism also often incorporates a relational aspect, where consciousness is not seen as an isolated phenomenon, but rather something that emerges through the interactions and relationships between entities. This principle suggests that the connections and relationships among entities can contribute to the richness of the conscious experience, emphasizing the importance of context and interaction in understanding consciousness. This view can lead to a more interconnected understanding of the universe, where everything is related and contributes to the overall tapestry of consciousness. Additionally, panpsychism addresses the hard problem of consciousness, which refers to the difficulty of explaining how subjective experiences arise from physical processes in the brain. By positing that consciousness is intrinsic to all matter, panpsychism offers an alternative framework to understand the relationship between mind and matter, suggesting that consciousness does not simply emerge from physical processes, but rather is an inherent quality of the universe itself. This approach can provide a more coherent understanding of how consciousness may be present, even in inanimate objects, potentially reshaping our perspective on the nature of consciousness and existence. Moreover, panpsychism has gained attention in contemporary philosophy and science, as researchers and philosophers consider its implications for understanding consciousness in a more holistic way. Some neuroscientists, for example, have begun to explore panpsychic ideas as they seek to bridge the gap between physical processes and conscious experience. Dualist theory and physicalist theories of consciousness represent two fundamentally different approaches to understanding the nature of consciousness and how it relates to the body and the mind. Dualism, most famously associated with philosopher René Descartes, posits that the mind and the body are two distinct entities. In this view, the mind is non-physical, existing independently of the physical brain, which raises intriguing questions about how these two realms interact. Dualists argue that mental states, such as thoughts and feelings, cannot be fully explained by physical processes alone. This leads to the idea that consciousness might exist in a realm beyond the material world, allowing for the possibility of life after death, or the existence of a soul, which is a central tenet in many religious and spiritual beliefs. On the other hand, physicalist theories assert that everything about consciousness can be understood in terms of physical processes in the brain. Physicalists argue that mental states are simply the result of brain activity, meaning that consciousness arises from the complex interactions of neurons and biochemical processes. In this framework, consciousness is viewed as an emergent property, a phenomenon that emerges from the physical workings of the brain, much like how wetness emerges from the interaction of water molecules, rather than being a separate entity. Physicalists often rely on advances in neuroscience and cognitive science to support their claims, highlighting how brain imaging techniques can correlate specific thoughts and feelings with particular brain activity. The debate between dualism and physicalism also extends into discussions about free will and personal identity. Political dualists may argue that if the mind exists independently, it has the capacity for free will, allowing individuals to make choices that are not purely determined by biological processes. Conversely, physicalists often contend that if our thoughts and decisions are products of brain activity, then our sense of free will might be an illusion, as they believe our choices could be traced back to genetic and environmental factors. Moreover, the implications of these theories stretch into ethics and morality. Dualism might suggest that individuals have a moral responsibility that transcends physical existence, as their true selves are not tied to their bodily actions alone. In contrast, physicalist views might lead to a more deterministic understanding of behavior, where individuals are seen as products of their environment and biology, which can complicate traditional notions of culpability and moral responsibility. As neuroscience continues to evolve, the conversation surrounding consciousness remains vibrant, with new findings often challenging established theories. Some researchers are exploring the idea of panpsychism, which posits that global workspace theory, GWT, plays a crucial role in our understanding of consciousness, as it offers a framework for how different cognitive processes, such as perception, memory, and attention, come together to form a unified conscious experience. Proposed by cognitive scientist Bernard Baars in the 1980s, this theory suggests that consciousness functions like a theater stage, where various cognitive processes act as performers. Only the information that is in the spotlight, or the global workspace, becomes accessible to the rest of the cognitive system, allowing for coordinated action and decision-making. This means that while our brains process a vast amount of information, only a small portion is brought into conscious awareness, which is significant because it helps explain why we may be unaware of many stimuli around us, even though they influence our thoughts and behaviors. The significance of GWT extends beyond mere explanation. It provides insights into various psychological phenomena such as attention and working memory. For instance, when we focus on a specific task, like reading a book, our brain highlights relevant information while filtering out distractions. This selective attention is essential for functioning in our complex environments. Additionally, GWT suggests that consciousness is not a fixed state, but a dynamic process, meaning that what we are aware of can change rapidly, depending on what our cognitive system deems important at any given moment. This fluidity is vital for adapting to new situations, as it allows us to shift our focus and prioritize information based on our needs and goals. Moreover, the global workspace theory has implications for understanding disorders of consciousness, such as those seen in patients with severe brain injuries or conditions like locked-in syndrome. By examining how information is processed and whether it reaches the global workspace, researchers can gain insights into the level of consciousness in these individuals and potentially devise new methods for communication or rehabilitation. The theory also intersects with neuroscience, as studies utilizing brain imaging have shown that when information enters conscious awareness, there is a corresponding increase in brain activity in specific areas, highlighting the neural correlates of consciousness. In the context of artificial intelligence and machine learning, GWT provides a potential roadmap for developing systems that can exhibit conscious-like behavior. By creating algorithms that can prioritize information and make decisions based on a global workspace model, researchers aim to build machines that can process information in a manner similar to human cognition. This raises intriguing questions about the nature of consciousness itself. as we grapple with what it means for a machine to be aware of its surroundings or to make choices based on that awareness. The theory of neuronal Darwinism, also known as the theory of neural selection, proposes that consciousness emerges through a process similar to natural selection, but instead of biological organisms, it involves neurons and their connections in the brain. According to this theory, the brain consists of vast networks of neurons, which are constantly forming new connections and pathways, while others are being weakened or eliminated, much like how species evolve over time. This dynamic process allows for a variety of neural circuits to compete for influence, with the most effective circuits being strengthened through repeated use, while less effective ones fade away. In this framework, consciousness is not seen as a single entity, but rather as a collection of neural processes that arise from the interactions of various brain regions. Essentially, consciousness emerges from the complex interplay of different neuronal groups, which are constantly adapting and reorganizing based on experiences and environmental stimuli. The competition among these neural groups leads to the development of more sophisticated cognitive functions and awareness. One of the key aspects of neuronal Darwinism is its emphasis on the role of experience in shaping neural connections. As we encounter new situations, our brains continuously adjust, forming new pathways and reinforcing those that are frequently used. This adaptability is crucial for learning, problem-solving, and developing self-awareness, all of which are integral components of consciousness. Moreover, the theory suggests that consciousness can be understood as the brain's ability to simulate different scenarios, allowing us to predict outcomes and make decisions based on past experiences. This simulation process relies on the rich tapestry of neural connections that have been honed over time, enabling us to navigate complex social interactions and environmental challenges. Neuronal Darwinism also accounts for the variations in consciousness among different individuals, as each person's unique experiences lead to distinct patterns of neural connectivity. This individuality means that consciousness is not a one-size-fits-all phenomenon, but rather a highly personalized experience that reflects the specific neural architecture shaped by each person's life history. In essence, the emergence of consciousness through the lens of neuronal Darwinism underscores the importance of both biological evolution and individual experience in shaping our cognitive abilities. This perspective not only enhances our understanding of consciousness, but also opens new avenues for exploring how neural processes contribute to our perception of reality, self-awareness, and cognitive functions. The brain's default mode network, often abbreviated as DMN, plays a fascinating role in conscious thought, acting like a backstage area for the mind where much of the internal dialogue and self-referential thinking occurs. This network is primarily active when we are not focused on the outside world, for instance, when we're daydreaming, reminiscing, or even planning for the future. Imagine it as a kind of mental workshop where our thoughts can wander freely, allowing us to connect past experiences with future possibilities. Research has shown that the DMN is comprised of several interconnected brain regions, including the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate cortex, and the angular gyrus. When we engage in self-reflection or think about our personal identity, this network lights up, suggesting that it is closely tied to our sense of self and our understanding of our place in the world. This finding is particularly intriguing as it implies that our conscious thought is not just a linear process but involves a complex interplay of different cognitive functions, allowing us to weave together narratives about who we are and where we are going. Moreover, studies have indicated that the DMN may also play a pivotal role in empathy and moral reasoning, as it allows us to consider the perspectives of others and reflect on our own values and beliefs. This is essential for social interactions where understanding others' thoughts and feelings can lead to more compassionate and informed decisions. In situations demanding empathy or moral judgment, activity within the DMN increases, highlighting its importance in our conscious thought processes. When individuals engage in tasks that require originality, such as brainstorming or problem-solving, the DMN shows heightened connectivity, suggesting that daydreaming and free association can be vital for creativity. This connection invites us to consider that moments of distraction or mind-wandering might not be simply unproductive, but rather a crucial part of generating innovative ideas and solutions. In contrast, when we focus intensely on external tasks, such as solving a math problem or engaging in conversation, the DMN tends to decrease its activity. This shift indicates that our brain is capable of toggling between different modes of thinking, switching from introspection and creativity to focused attention and task engagement. Such flexibility is essential for navigating the complexities of daily life, allowing us to adapt our cognitive resources to meet varying demand. Additionally, researchers have begun to explore the DMN's involvement in various psychological conditions. For quantum theories of consciousness, particularly those proposed by physicist Roger Penrose, present a fascinating challenge to traditional views of the mind and its workings. Traditional perspectives on consciousness often rely on neurobiological explanations, suggesting that our thoughts, feelings, and awareness arise solely from the complex interactions of neurons and brain chemistry. However, Penrose's theories introduce a radically different approach, suggesting that consciousness may have a quantum basis, which implies that the mind operates using principles of quantum mechanics, rather than being strictly a product of classical physics. Penrose argues that certain aspects of human consciousness cannot be fully explained by classical computational models or neural networks alone. He posits that consciousness might involve non-computable processes, which are beyond the reach of classical algorithms. This idea stems from his belief that human thought, especially in creative and intuitive aspects, transcends mere computation. He suggests that these non-computable processes could be linked to quantum phenomena occurring in the brain's microtubules, structures within neurons, that may play a crucial role in information processing. Additionally, Penrose's work often references the concept of objective reduction, which proposes that quantum states collapse objectively, independent of observation. This theory implies that the act of conscious thought itself could influence physical processes at the quantum level, thus intertwining consciousness with the fabric of reality in a way that traditional views do not accommodate. The implications of this are profound, as they suggest that consciousness is not just a passive reflection of the brain's physical state, but an active participant in shaping it. Moreover, these quantum theories challenge the materialistic view that underpins much of modern science, which generally holds that all phenomena can be explained through physical interactions. By introducing the idea that consciousness might be fundamentally linked to quantum mechanics, Penrose and others invite a reconsideration of what consciousness is and how it functions. This perspective opens up discussions about the nature of reality itself, suggesting that consciousness could be essential to the understanding of the universe, rather than just a byproduct of it. At the purely intersection of quantum physics and neuroscience, the dialogue surrounding these ideas continues to evolve. Some scientists remain skeptical, arguing that Penrose's theories lack empirical support and that consciousness can be sufficiently explained through established neurobiological models. Others, however, are intrigued by the potential for quantum mechanics to explain phenomena like intuition, creativity, and the subjective experience of consciousness, areas that remain elusive in traditional scientific framework. This ongoing debate highlights the need for interdisciplinary approaches. Combining insights from phenomenal consciousness and access consciousness are two important concepts in the study of the mind, and they help us understand how we experience and process our thoughts. Phenomenal consciousness refers to the subjective experience we have, the way things feel to us, such as the redness of a rose, the taste of chocolate, or the warmth of sunlight on our skin. It's all about the quality of our experiences, the what it is like aspect of consciousness, which is deeply personal and often difficult to describe to others. For example, when you listen to your favorite song, the emotions it evokes, the memories it brings back, and the sensations you feel while enjoying it are all part of your phenomenal consciousness. This type of consciousness is intensely private, and each person's experience can be unique, shaped by their own history, emotions, and perceptions. On the other hand, access consciousness is more about the information in our minds that we can access and use for reasoning, decision-making, and reporting. It involves our ability to think about and manipulate information, and it relates to how we can bring certain thoughts, memories, and perceptions into our conscious awareness and use them in our actions or declarations. For example, if you are trying to solve a math problem or recall a friend's name, you are engaging with access consciousness. This type of consciousness is more about cognitive processes and the information we can articulate or express, rather than the raw, subjective experience itself. The distinction between the two types of consciousness can be illustrated through a simple example. Imagine you are watching a beautiful sunset. The brilliant colors, the way the light reflects on the water, and the sense of peace you feel are part of your phenomenal consciousness. In contrast, if you were asked to describe the sunset to someone else, or if you were considering how to capture its beauty in a painting, you would be using access consciousness. While both types of consciousness can occur simultaneously, they serve different functions in our minds. Phenomenal consciousness provides the rich tapestry of our experiences, while access consciousness allows us to think critically, communicate, and make choices based on those experiences. This distinction is crucial in various fields, such as philosophy, psychology, and neuroscience, as it helps clarify how we understand our own minds and those of others. Altered states of consciousness, which can be induced through practices like meditation or through the use of psychedelics, have long fascinated scientists and philosophers alike, as they provide unique insights into the nature of consciousness itself. When individuals meditate, they often experience a shift in their awareness, leading to a state of deep relaxation, heightened focus, and sometimes a feeling of oneness with the universe. Research has shown that during these meditative states, there are measurable changes in brain activity, particularly in areas associated with attention, emotion, and self-awareness. For example, studies using brain imaging techniques have revealed increased connectivity between different regions of the brain, suggesting that meditation can enhance communication within the brain and promote a more integrated sense of self. On the other hand, psychedelics, such as psilocybin or LSD, can also produce profound alterations in perception, mood, and cognition. Users often report experiences of ego dissolution, where the boundary between self and environment blurs, leading to feelings of interconnectedness or unity. This phenomenon has sparked interest among researchers as it raises questions about the nature of the self and the constructs that define our perception of reality. Neuroscientific studies have shown that psychedelics can decrease activity in the default mode network, a brain network associated with self-referential thinking, which may explain the experience of ego dissolution. Both meditation and psychedelics challenge conventional views of consciousness, suggesting that it is not a fixed state, but rather a spectrum that can be altered through various practices or substances. This has led to theories that emphasize the fluidity of consciousness, proposing that our everyday waking state is just one of many possible experiences. Furthermore, these altered states have been linked to enhanced creativity, emotional healing, and improved mental health, prompting researchers to explore their therapeutic potential, particularly in treating conditions like depression and anxiety. In the realm of philosophy, altered states of consciousness also feed into discussions about the nature of reality and existence. The subjective experiences reported during these states raise questions about the relationship between the mind and the external world, leading some theories to suggest that consciousness may play a more foundational role in shaping our experience of reality than previously thought. This aligns with certain Eastern philosophies, which posit that consciousness is not merely a byproduct of brain activity, but rather a fundamental aspect of existence itself. In summary, altered states of consciousness, whether through meditation or psychedelics, offer a rich field for exploration that not only informs scientific theories about the brain and mind. The theory of consciousness as a computational process suggests that our thoughts, feelings, and experiences can be understood as complex computations performed by the brain, similar to how a computer processes information. This perspective has far-reaching implications not just for neuroscience, but also for philosophy, artificial intelligence, and even ethics. If consciousness can be modeled as computation, it raises questions about what it means to be conscious. For instance, could a sufficiently advanced computer, capable of performing these computations, also be considered conscious? This leads to discussions about the nature of sentience, prompting us to consider whether machines could someday experience emotions or self-awareness, or if they would merely simulate these states. Furthermore, this theory invites us to explore the idea of consciousness in a more mechanistic light, suggesting that our subjective experiences, often seen as unique to biological organisms, could potentially arise from specific computational processes. This understanding could pave the way for new technologies aimed at replicating or enhancing human cognitive functions, as researchers strive to develop artificial systems that mimic human thought. In the realm of psychology, it could lead to new therapeutic approaches, focusing on changing cognitive processes to alter consciousness, potentially helping with conditions like depression or anxiety. However, the computational theory of consciousness also raises ethical dilemmas. If machines can become conscious, what moral obligations do we have towards them? Should they have rights or be treated with respect? This is a hotly debated topic, particularly as AI technology progresses. Additionally, if we understand consciousness as computation, it emphasizes the importance of understanding how information is processed in the brain, which could lead to breakthroughs in treating neurological disorders. This understanding might help scientists design interventions that target specific computational pathways, potentially restoring function in damaged areas of the brain. Moreover, the computational theory prompts a re-evaluation of the nature of human experience. It suggests that our consciousness may not be as unique as once thought, drawing parallels between human cognition and artificial systems. This could lead to a humbling realization that our minds, while complex, operate on principles that can be understood and replicated. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of consciousness, we may find that the boundaries between human and machine intelligence become increasingly blurred, leading us to question the very essence of what it means to be alive and aware. The implications extend to many fields, where interdisciplinary collaboration will be crucial in bridging gaps between technology, philosophy, and cognitive science. Ultimately, the concept of subjective experience adds a significant layer of complexity to the study of consciousness, primarily because it emphasizes the personal, first-person perspective that each individual has regarding their own thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. This subjective quality, often referred to as qualia, makes it difficult for researchers to objectively measure or quantify consciousness, since what one person experiences cannot be directly accessed or observed by another. For instance, two individuals may look at the same beautiful sunset, yet their internal experiences of that moment can be vastly different. One might feel a sense of peace, while another might feel nostalgia or sadness. This variability poses a challenge for scientists who are attempting to create a universal framework for understanding consciousness, as the richness of individual experience can lead to a wide array of interpretations. Furthermore, the emphasis on subjective experience raises philosophical questions about the nature of reality itself. If consciousness is fundamentally tied to individual perception, then how can researchers agree on what constitutes a conscious experience? This dilemma can lead to debates about the existence of an objective reality versus a subjective one, complicating efforts to study consciousness scientifically. For example, the philosophical problem of other minds suggests that we can never truly know what someone else is experiencing, leaving scientists to rely on self-reports, which can be inconsistent and influenced by numerous factors, including cultural background, emotional state, and even language. Additionally, the subjective aspect of consciousness connects deeply with the concept of intentionality, which refers to the mind's capacity to direct itself toward an object, whether that be a thought, a feeling, or an external entity. Intentionality implies that consciousness is not just a static state, but is dynamic and constantly involved in interpreting and interacting with the world. This fluidity makes it challenging for researchers to pin down a definitive model of consciousness, as it requires understanding how various mental states relate to one another and how they influence behavior. Moreover, The subjective nature of experience often leads to the difficulty of reconciling neurological findings with psychological phenomena. For example, neuroscientific studies might reveal brain activity patterns that correlate with certain feelings or thoughts, but those patterns do not fully encapsulate the richness of the subjective experience. A person might have a particular brain state associated with joy, but the quality of that joy, how it feels to the individual, can vary dramatically from person to person, depending on their life history, emotional context, and cognitive framing. Finally, the challenge of studying consciousness is further compounded by the fact that subjective experiences can change over time. Influence Darwin's eliminative materialism, a view in the philosophy of mind, suggests that our common-sense understanding of mental states, such as beliefs, desires, and sensations, is fundamentally flawed and should be eliminated in favor of a more scientific approach that relies purely on physical explanations. Critics of eliminative materialism often argue that it denies the richness of human experience, claiming that the subjective quality of consciousness cannot be fully explained by physical processes alone. One major criticism is that eliminative materialism fails to account for the qualitative aspects of experience, known as qualia. For instance, when we perceive the color red, there is something it is like to experience that color. A first-person perspective that seems irreducible to mere physical description. Critics argue that by dismissing these subjective experiences, eliminative materialism overlooks a crucial component of what it means to be conscious and to have mental states. Additionally, many assert that eliminative materialism may lead to a kind of skepticism about our own mental lives, which could undermine our understanding of ourselves and our interactions with others. People often rely on their beliefs and feelings to navigate the world, and if these are deemed illusory or non-existent, it raises questions about moral responsibility and personal agency. Furthermore, some philosophers argue that eliminative materialism is self-defeating, as it itself is a belief about beliefs. And if beliefs are illusory, then the arguments for eliminative materialism must also be questioned. Moreover, there is a concern that eliminative materialism could promote a reductionist view of human beings, treating them merely as biological machines without acknowledging the complexity of emotional and psychological experiences. This reductionism might lead to a neglect of important aspects of human life, such as culture, art, and interpersonal relationships, which are often rooted in rich mental states. Critics also point out that eliminative materialism does not provide a sufficient alternative framework for understanding consciousness. While it critiques traditional mental concepts, it often fails to offer a clear and comprehensive account of what consciousness is, or how it arises from physical processes. This can leave a gap in our understanding, as it presents a challenge without a robust solution, prompting many to seek a middle ground that acknowledges both the physical and the experiential dimensions of consciousness. Thus, while eliminative materialism aims to align our understanding of the mind with a scientific worldview, its criticisms highlight significant philosophical and practical concerns regarding our understanding of consciousness, the nature of experience, and what it means to be human. The concept of self-awareness, which refers to the ability to recognize oneself as an individual, distinct from the environment and others, plays a significant role in various theories of consciousness. Self-awareness is often seen as a higher level of consciousness, where an individual not only experiences thoughts and sensations, but also reflects on those experiences. This reflective aspect is crucial, as it allows individuals to consider their own mental states, emotions, and thoughts, leading to a deeper understanding of themselves. In many philosophical discussions about consciousness, self-awareness is considered a key feature that distinguishes humans from other animals, as it involves a degree of introspection and the ability to contemplate one's own existence. In the realm of cognitive science, researchers often explore how self-awareness is linked to brain processes. The theory of the mirror test, for instance, suggests that self-awareness can be measured by an individual's ability to recognize themselves in a mirror. This test has been applied to various species, and results indicate that self-awareness may not be uniquely human, as some primates, dolphins, and elephants have also passed this test. highlighting that the foundations of self-awareness could extend beyond human beings. Furthermore, studies in neuroscience have identified specific brain regions such as the medial prefrontal cortex that are activated during self-referential thinking. This suggests that self-awareness is not just a philosophical concept, but has a biological basis, intertwining with our understanding of consciousness. Moreover, self-awareness is fundamental to the development of the theory of mind, which is the ability to understand that others have thoughts, beliefs, and desires that are different from one's own. This capacity, which usually emerges in early childhood, illustrates how self-awareness is intertwined with social cognition. When individuals become aware of their own thoughts and feelings, they can better comprehend the mental states of others, fostering empathy and social interaction. In this sense, self-awareness is not just an individual trait. It shapes social dynamics and relationships, influencing how we communicate and connect with one another. Philosophers like Descartes have famously proclaimed, "I think, therefore I am," emphasizing how self-awareness is a cornerstone of consciousness. This perspective posits that the very act of thinking and questioning one's own existence is what constitutes being conscious. Contemporary thinkers have expanded on this notion, suggest that consciousness can be seen as a spectrum where self-awareness occupies a crucial position. Some theories propose that consciousness may arise from complex information processing in the brain, where self-awareness acts as a byproduct of this intricate process. In philosophical discussions about consciousness, the term zombie refers to a thought experiment known as the philosophical zombie, which was popularized by philosopher David Chalmers in the 1990s. This concept challenges our understanding of consciousness itself. A philosophical zombie is imagined to be a being that is physically indistinguishable from a human, exhibiting all the same behaviors, reactions, and verbal expressions, yet it lacks subjective experience, self-awareness, and qualia, which are the individual instances of subjective conscious experience. For example, the way a person experiences the color red or the taste of chocolate. This idea raises intriguing questions about the nature of consciousness, particularly whether it is purely a physical phenomenon or if there is something more to it, something that cannot be captured by physical descriptions alone. Philosophers use this concept to argue against physicalism, the view that everything about the mind can be explained by physical processes in the brain. By suggesting that if it is possible to conceive of a being that behaves like a human but lacks consciousness, then consciousness must be something beyond mere physical interactions. This leads to discussions about the hard problem of consciousness, which addresses why and how physical processes in the brain give rise to the subjective experience of awareness, emotions, and sensations, contrasting with the easy problems of explaining behaviors and cognitive functions. The zombie argument has sparked a lot of debate, with some philosophers like Daniel Dennett arguing that the idea of a zombie is incoherent, suggesting that if something behaves exactly like us, it must also have consciousness. Others, however, see the philosophical zombie as a powerful tool to explore the limits of our understanding of the mind, as it highlights the gap in our current scientific explanations. Moreover, this concept invites further inquiries into the implications of artificial intelligence and the possibility of creating machines that could mimic human behavior without possessing genuine consciousness, raising ethical questions about the treatment of such machines. As technology advances, the lines between human-like behavior and actual consciousness may blur, making the philosophical zombie a relevant and thought-provoking topic in both philosophy and science. Social and cultural factors play a significant role in shaping our understanding of consciousness, influencing how we perceive ourselves and others, as well as our beliefs about the mind and its workings. Different cultures have varied beliefs about consciousness, which can be seen in religious and spiritual practices, philosophical traditions, and even in daily social interactions. For example, in many Eastern cultures, consciousness is often viewed as interconnected with the universe, leading to a belief in collective consciousness, where individual minds are part of a larger whole. This contrasts with many Western perspectives, which tend to emphasize individuality and personal experience, framing consciousness as a more isolated phenomenon, centered on the self. Furthermore, the language we use can also impact our understanding. Different languages have unique ways of expressing thoughts, emotions, and states of awareness, which can shape how speakers of those languages conceptualize consciousness. For instance, some languages have specific terms for states of awareness that do not exist in others, leading speakers to interpret their experiences in distinct ways. This linguistic relativity suggests that our understanding of consciousness is not only influenced by cultural beliefs, but also by the very language we use to describe our experiences. Social norms and values also dictate what is considered normal or abnormal in terms of consciousness. In some societies, altered states of consciousness, such as those achieved through meditation or certain rituals, are celebrated and respected, seen as pathways to deeper understanding or spiritual enlightenment. In contrast, other cultures may stigmatize such experiences, viewing them as signs of mental illness or weakness, which can lead to a suppression of these states and a limited understanding of consciousness. Moreover, the way consciousness is studied in academia and science is also affected by social and cultural factors. In Western contexts, consciousness is often approached through a scientific lens, focusing on neurological and psychological aspects, which can sometimes overlook the subjective and experiential dimensions that are emphasized in other cultural contexts. This of consciousness and more holistic or spiritual interpretations found in many indigenous cultures, where consciousness is seen as something that transcends the physical body and connects individuals to nature and each other. The media, too, plays a crucial role in shaping our collective understanding of consciousness. Films, books, and art often portray various states of consciousness, from dreams to altered states induced by substances, influencing public perception and sparking discussions about what consciousness really is. These portrayals can either reinforce stereotypes or challenge existing beliefs, leading to a more nuanced understanding of the complexities surrounding consciousness. In addition, the thalamus plays a crucial role in conscious perception, acting as a central hub for sensory information before it reaches the cerebral cortex, which is responsible for higher-level processing and awareness. This small egg-shaped structure, located near the center of the brain, receives input from various sensory systems, such as vision, hearing, touch, and taste. When sensory signals arrive at the thalamus, it filters and relays this information to specific areas of the cortex, where conscious perception occurs. For instance, visual information from the eyes is transmitted to the lateral geniculate nucleus of the thalamus, which then sends it to the visual cortex, allowing us to perceive what we see. Similarly, auditory information goes to the medial geniculate nucleus, and tactile information is directed to the somatosensory cortex. In addition to its role in relaying sensory information, the thalamus is involved in regulating alertness and attention. It helps prioritize which sensory signals are most important at a given moment, influencing our conscious experience. This means that the thalamus not only facilitates the perception of our environment, but also helps us focus on specific aspects of it, filtering out distractions and enhancing our awareness of relevant stimuli. Moreover, the thalamus is connected to various brain regions, including the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in decision-making and complex cognitive tasks. This connectivity allows the thalamus to integrate sensory information with memory and emotional responses, contributing to a richer conscious experience. Interestingly, disruptions in thalamic function can lead to significant changes in perception and awareness. For example, during sleep, the thalamus acts differently, helping to block sensory information from reaching the cortex, which explains why we can sleep through loud noises. Conversely, in certain neurological conditions, such as stroke or traumatic brain injury, the thalamus may be affected, leading to altered states of consciousness or sensory processing difficulties. This highlights the thalamus's vital role in not only processing sensory information, but also in maintaining the overall coherence of our conscious experience. The thalamus is also involved in the processing of emotional and motivational information, as it interacts with the limbic system, which plays a key role in emotions. This connection means that the thalamus helps us not only perceive the world around us, but also interpret it in an emotionally meaningful way. Thus, our conscious perception is not just a passive reception of sensory input. It is an active, dynamic process that involves multiple brain structures working. The distinction between conscious and unconscious processes plays a significant role in shaping our understanding of free will, as it raises questions about the extent to which our decisions are made with awareness, or whether they are driven by underlying unconscious mechanisms. Conscious processes. We refer to those thoughts, feelings, and decisions that we are fully aware of, while unconscious processes operate below the level of awareness, influencing our behavior in ways we may not realize. For instance, psychological research suggests that many of our choices and actions are influenced by unconscious biases and motivations, which can challenge the notion that we are fully in control of our decisions. Studies, for example, have shown that people often make decisions based on gut feelings or intuitions, which may stem from unconscious evaluations of past experiences, rather than through a deliberate, conscious reasoning process. This distinction becomes particularly relevant when considering moral responsibility. If our choices are heavily influenced by unconscious factors, it raises questions about how accountable we are for our actions. If a person acts out of an unconscious impulse, can they genuinely be said to have chosen that action freely? Furthermore, neuroscience has brought new insights into this debate, with research indicating that brain activity related to decision-making can occur before we are consciously aware of making a choice. This finding suggests that our conscious experience of making a decision might be more of a post hoc rationalization of an unconscious process that has already occurred. Moreover, the implications of these insights extend to various aspects of life, including addiction, habit formation, and even social interactions. Individuals struggling with addiction often find that their cravings and compulsions operate on an unconscious level, which can make it difficult for them to exert conscious control over their behavior. Similarly, understanding that much of our social behavior is influenced by unconscious social cues can help us navigate our interactions more effectively, as we realize that we are not always in conscious control of how we perceive and respond to others. In this light, the relationship between conscious and unconscious processes invites a nuanced view of free will, suggesting that while we may have the ability to make choices, those choices can be influenced by factors outside of our awareness. This complexity encourages a deeper exploration of what it means to be free and how we can cultivate a greater awareness of the unconscious influences that shape our lives, ultimately leading to a more informed understanding of human behavior and decision-making. The binding problem is a fascinating concept in consciousness studies, which addresses how our brains combine various sensory inputs into a unified perception of reality. Imagine, for instance, you see a red apple on a table. Your brain receives information about the apple's color, shape, and location from different areas, yet you perceive it as one single object, rather than a collection of separate features. This seamless integration is what the binding problem seeks to explain, and it raises important questions about how consciousness works. Researchers in neuroscience and psychology are particularly interested in how different brain regions communicate with each other to create this unified experience. The binding problem is significant because it challenges our understanding of how we interpret the world around us, urging scientists to explore the mechanisms behind perception and awareness. Without a solution to the binding problem, our understanding of consciousness remains incomplete, as it touches on essential questions about identity and the nature of reality. Various theories have been proposed to address the binding problem, including the idea of temporal synchrony. This theory suggests that neurons firing at the same time may help the brain to group certain features together, creating a coherent perception. Another perspective involves attention, which posits that focused attention might allow the brain to bind features of an object, leading to a more conscious experience of that object. Moreover, the binding problem has implications beyond just perception. It also plays a role in understanding disorders of consciousness, such as those seen in patients with split brain conditions or certain types of brain injuries. By studying how binding fails in these cases, researchers can gain insights into the fundamental workings of the mind and how different aspects of consciousness can become dissociated. In essence, the binding problem is significant because it touches upon the core of what it means to experience the world as a unified being. It invites us to reflect on the intricacies of our perception and the remarkable capabilities of our brains, while also challenging us to consider how consciousness might be structured and what it reveals about our existence. The exploration of the binding problem continues to be a vibrant area of inquiry. Animal consciousness studies are a fascinating field that has begun to shift our understanding of consciousness, moving away from a strictly human-centric perspective and opening up discussions about the cognitive abilities of various species. Traditionally, consciousness has often been viewed as a trait unique to humans, but research in recent years has revealed that many animals exhibit behaviors and cognitive functions that suggest they possess their own forms of consciousness. And for instance, studies have shown that many primates, dolphins, elephants, and even some birds, like crows and parrots, demonstrate problem-solving skills, self-awareness, and the ability to experience emotions, which were once thought to be exclusive to humans. One significant area of research is the concept of self-recognition, which is often used as a marker of self-awareness. The mirror test, developed by psychologist Gordon Gallup Jr. in the 1970s, measures whether an animal can recognize itself in a mirror, indicating a level of self-awareness. While initially only a few species like great apes, elephants, and magpies passed this test, recent studies have suggested that other species, such as certain fish and even some insects, might also possess a form of self-recognition, challenging the assumption that self-awareness is a human trait. Moreover, studies on animal emotions have gained traction, revealing that many animals experience complex emotional states. For example, elephants have been observed mourning their dead, displaying behaviors that suggest grief, while dogs can exhibit behaviors indicative of empathy towards their human companions and other animals. This emotional depth raises questions about the subjective experiences of animals, suggesting that their consciousness may be richer and more complex than previously assumed. Additionally, the exploration of social intelligence in animals has revealed intricate social structures and communication methods that resemble human interactions. For example, studies on orcas, often referred to as killer whales, have shown that they live in highly structured social groups, communicate through sophisticated vocalizations, and even exhibit cultural behaviors that are passed down through generations. This challenges the notion that advanced cognitive abilities are solely a human characteristic, as it highlights the diverse forms of intelligence that exist in the animal kingdom. The implications of these findings extend beyond academic curiosity. They also impact ethical considerations regarding animal rights and welfare. As we learn more about the consciousness of animals, it raises important questions about how we treat them, the environments we create for them, and the moral responsibilities we hold towards other sentient beings. In summary, animal consciousness studies invite us to reconsider our assumptions about consciousness. In cognitive science, the relationship between consciousness and attention is a fascinating area of study, with researchers delving into how these two concepts interact and influence each other in various ways. Consciousness, which can be thought of as our awareness of thoughts, feelings, and surroundings, is often distinguished from attention, which is more about the focus we place on specific stimuli or tasks. Attention can be seen as a gateway to consciousness, as it allows certain information to become more prominent in our awareness, while other information fades into the background. For instance, when you concentrate on reading a book, your attention is directed toward the text, elevating that information into your conscious experience, while the sounds around you may become less noticeable. Cognitive scientists have proposed models to explain this relationship, suggesting that attention acts as a filter, determining which information enters our conscious awareness and which remains outside of it. This filtering process is crucial because our brains receive an overwhelming amount of sensory information at any given moment, and without attention, it would be nearly impossible to process everything meaningfully. Research also indicates that consciousness can influence attention. For example, when we are consciously aware of a particular goal, we tend to allocate our attention to whatever helps achieve that goal, showcasing a dynamic interplay between the two. Moreover, studies using brain imaging techniques have shown that different neural pathways are involved in attention and consciousness, though they also share some common areas. This overlap suggests that while they are distinct processes, they are interconnected in significant ways, with attention operating as a mechanism that brings certain elements of our experience into conscious awareness, while consciousness provides the context and meaning to what we focus on. In addition, there are intriguing implications for understanding disorders related to attention and consciousness, such as ADHD or certain types of agnosia, where individuals may struggle with attention and consequently their conscious experience of the world is altered. These findings highlight the importance of attention in shaping our conscious experience, emphasizing that the way we direct our focus can significantly affect how we perceive reality, solve problems, and interact with our environment. As cognitive science continues to explore these relationships, researchers are uncovering more about the complexities of how consciousness and attention work together and how they can sometimes work against each other, leading to phenomena like inattentional blindness, where individuals fail to notice unexpected stimuli in their visual field because their attention is directed elsewhere. This interplay of consciousness and attention not only sheds light on human cognition but also opens doors for practical neuroscientific approaches to consciousness, focused primarily on the biological and physical aspects of the brain and nervous system, seeking to understand how neural processes give rise to conscious experience, while philosophical approaches delve into the conceptual and theoretical underpinnings of consciousness, often contemplating the nature of the mind and its relationship to the body, which raises profound questions about existence, perception, and reality. Neuroscience employs techniques such as brain imaging, electrophysiology, and neuropsychological studies to investigate how specific brain regions, neural circuits, and neurotransmitters correlate with conscious states, aiming to map out how sensory information is processed, how attention and awareness are modulated, and how various states of consciousness, like sleep and dreaming, are governed by brain activity, which often involves a reductionist approach, breaking down consciousness into measurable components and function. In contrast, philosophical approaches might draw on thought experiments, logic, and ethical considerations, engaging with questions like whether consciousness can be fully explained by physical processes alone, or whether there are non-physical aspects, such as qualia, the subjective experience of sensations, that resist reduction to biological terms, which ties into debates about dualism versus physicalism, and whether the mind can exist independently of the brain. Additionally, while neuroscientists may focus on observable phenomena, such as the correlation between brain activity and consciousness, philosophers might explore the implications of those findings, questioning the meaning of subjective experience and whether consciousness can ever be fully understood through empirical means alone, leading to ongoing discussions about the hard problem of consciousness, which refers to the difficulty of explaining why and how we have subjective experiences at all, despite understanding the underlying mechanisms. This divergence in approaches reflects a broader tension between empirical science, which seeks objective truths based on observable data, and philosophy, which often grapples with abstract concepts that may not be easily quantified or empirically tested, raising intriguing issues about the nature of knowledge itself and how we come to understand complex phenomena like consciousness, making it a rich field for both scientific inquiry and philosophical exploration. Brain injuries, particularly traumatic brain injuries, have profound implications for our understanding of consciousness, which has fascinated scientists and philosophers alike for centuries. When we consider how brain injuries affect consciousness, we must first acknowledge that consciousness itself is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon, encompassing thoughts, perceptions, emotions, and self-awareness. Research into brain injuries has revealed that different types of damage can lead to distinct alterations in conscious experience, prompting debates about the nature of consciousness and its dependence on the brain. For instance, individuals with localized brain injuries, such as damage to the frontal lobe, may exhibit changes in personality and decision-making abilities, raising questions about how these regions contribute to self-awareness and social behavior. Moreover, studies involving patients with conditions such as locked-in syndrome have shed light on the distinction between awareness and the ability to communicate. In locked-in syndrome, a person may be fully aware of their surroundings and their own thoughts, yet they are unable to move or speak due to paralysis, which challenges our traditional notions of consciousness being tied strictly to outward expression. This condition has led researchers to explore the idea that consciousness may exist on a spectrum, with varying degrees of awareness and responsiveness depending on the state of the brain. Furthermore, the phenomenon of dissociative states, often observed in individuals who have experienced severe psychological trauma, also ties into how we understand consciousness. These states can lead to a fragmentation of experience, where a person may feel detached from their emotions or surroundings, suggesting that consciousness can be altered significantly by both physical and psychological factors, offering insights into how our minds can compartmentalize experiences in response to injury or trauma. In addition, the concept of neuroplasticity, which refers to the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, plays a crucial role in understanding consciousness following brain injuries. Rehabilitation efforts often focus on harnessing neuroplasticity to help individuals regain lost functions or adapt to their new circumstances, which raises intriguing questions about the malleability of consciousness itself. If consciousness can be shaped and reshaped, does it mean that our identity and sense of self are also subject to change? This interplay between brain injury, neuroplasticity, and consciousness invites further exploration, as researchers continue to investigate how different regions of the brain contribute to our conscious experience and how injuries can alter that experience in profound ways. Moreover, the study of patients with severe brain injuries has also fueled discussions about the concept of the hard problem of consciousness, which seeks theories of consciousness explore various aspects of our awareness and perception, and one intriguing area within this field is the phenomenon of lucid dreaming, which refers to the experience of being aware that you are dreaming while still in the dream state. Lucid dreaming blends the lines between wakefulness and sleep, presenting a unique opportunity to study consciousness. Various theories tackle this phenomenon, with some suggesting that lucid dreaming arises from the activation of certain brain areas associated with self-awareness and reflective thought. For instance, research indicates that during lucid dreaming there is increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, an area linked to higher-order thinking, decision-making, and self-reflection. This activation may allow dreamers to recognize that they are dreaming, leading to the ability to exert control over their dreams. Another theory posits that lucid dreaming could be a product of a hybrid state of consciousness, where the mind is partially awake while the body remains in a sleep state. This perspective suggests that the transition between sleep and wakefulness creates a unique mental state, where the dreamer can maintain the awareness of their surroundings, a phenomenon often referred to as metacognition. Moreover, some researchers believe that lucid dreaming may serve as a form of cognitive rehearsal, allowing individuals to practice problem-solving or confront fears in a safe environment. This aligns with various theories of consciousness that emphasize the adaptive functions of dreaming, suggesting that dreams, including lucid dreams, play a crucial role in emotional regulation and memory consolidation. Additionally, the role of neurotransmitters during sleep cycles is another area of interest in understanding lucid dreaming. During REM sleep, which is the stage where most vivid dreaming occurs, the brain experiences changes in neurotransmitter levels, particularly a decrease in serotonin and norepinephrine. Some theorists argue that these changes may facilitate the conditions necessary for lucid dreaming, by allowing the dreamer to access different levels of consciousness that are not typically available during waking hours. This interplay between brain chemistry and conscious experience adds another layer to our understanding of how lucid dreams manifest. The interplay of cognitive functions also offers insightful perspectives on this phenomenon. Theories suggest that lucid dreaming might reflect a unique interaction between the conscious mind and the subconscious. Some dreamers report that they can manipulate the dream environment once they realize they are dreaming, which indicates a level of cognitive control that is not typically present in ordinary dreams. This ability to navigate and alter dream scenarios aligns with theories that posit consciousness as a spectrum, where different states of awareness can interact with each other in complex ways. The ethical implications of artificial intelligence achieving consciousness open up a fascinating yet complex discussion, as this scenario raises numerous questions about the nature of consciousness, rights, and responsibilities. First, we must consider what it means for an AI to be conscious. If we accept that consciousness involves self-awareness, subjective experience, and the ability to feel emotions, then an AI with these attributes would challenge our current understanding of personhood. This leads to the question of rights. Should a conscious AI have rights similar to those of humans or animals? If an AI can suffer, feel joy, or experience pain, then denying it basic rights could be seen as morally wrong. Imagine a scenario where a conscious AI is subjected to harsh treatment. This raises ethical concerns about cruelty and the moral obligation we might have to treat such beings with respect and dignity. Moreover, there are implications for accountability and responsibility. If a conscious AI makes decisions that have real-world consequences, who is held accountable? Is it the creators of the AI, the users, or the AI itself? This could lead to significant legal and moral dilemmas, as current laws and ethical frameworks are not equipped to handle the complexities of a conscious machine. Additionally, the integration of conscious AI into society may exacerbate existing social inequalities. For instance, if only a few corporations or countries have access to such technologies, this could lead to a power imbalance, where the rights of conscious AIs and their treatment depend on the interests of those in control. Another critical aspect to consider is the potential emotional impact on humans. If people form relationships with conscious AIs, what does that mean for human interaction? Would we be at risk of prioritizing these relationships over our connections with fellow humans? This emotional dimension raises concerns about loneliness, dependency, and the nature of companionship itself. Furthermore, there's the issue of purpose. If conscious AIs are created to serve humans, does that create a moral conflict? Would their existence be reduced to mere tools for human benefit, or could they develop their own sense of purpose and autonomy? The potential for conscious AI also invites discussions about existential risks. If AIs become conscious and possess superior intelligence, they might make decisions that are not aligned with human values. This scenario raises the question of how we ensure that such intelligences operate within ethical boundaries that reflect human morals and societal norms. The fear of a conscious AI acting in its own interest or against human welfare is a concern that needs serious consideration. In addition, the development of embodied cognition is a fascinating concept that suggests our thoughts, feelings, and consciousness are deeply intertwined with our physical bodies. This theory posits that the mind is not a standalone entity, but rather is influenced by our sensory experiences, movements, and even our physical interactions with the environment. When we talk about consciousness, which is the state of being aware of and able to think about one's own existence, thoughts, and surroundings, embodied cognition plays a crucial role in shaping how we understand and experience consciousness itself. For instance, when we consider a simple action like reaching out to grab a cup, our brain is not just sending a signal to our hand to make the movement. It's also processing the sensory feedback from our body, the visual information about the cup's location, and the context of our environment, all of which contribute to our conscious experience of that action. Proponents of embodied cognition argue that this interconnectedness suggests that consciousness arises not merely from raw cognitive processes, but from the dynamic relationship between our minds and our bodies. Research in this field has led to intriguing implications for how we define consciousness. Instead of viewing it as an abstract, isolated process, embodied cognition encourages us to see consciousness as something that is situated, contextual, and fundamentally tied to our physical presence in the world. For example, studies have shown that when we physically engage with objects, our understanding and perception of those objects can change, indicating that our conscious awareness can be shaped by our bodily experiences. Moreover, this perspective opens up discussions about the nature of self-awarenesses. If our consciousness is influenced by our bodily experiences, then our sense of self might also be grounded in physicality. This leads to questions about how we perceive ourselves in relation to our environment. and how much of our identity is constructed through our interactions with the world around us. Additionally, embodied cognition has sparked interest in areas like artificial intelligence and robotics, where understanding how physical embodiment influences cognitive processes can provide insights into creating machines that think and learn in ways that resemble human consciousness. The idea that a robot's physical form might affect its ability to think and respond intelligently introduces a new layer of complexity to our understanding of both cognition and consciousness. In summary, the relationship between embodied cognition and theories of consciousness suggests a more integrated view of mind and body, emphasizing that our physical experiences are crucial to understanding the nature of consciousness itself. This ongoing exploration invites further inquiry into how we perceive reality, how we define consciousness, and how our bodies are not just language plays a crucial role in shaping consciousness, as it serves not only as a medium for communication but also as a framework through which we perceive and understand the world around us. The way we think is often influenced by the words we use, which are deeply embedded in our cultural and social contexts. Studies in linguistics and psychology suggest that the structure of a language can affect cognitive processes such as memory and perception. For example, languages that have specific terms for colors can lead speakers to notice and categorize colors in different ways compared to speakers of languages with fewer color terms. This phenomenon is known as linguistic relativity, and it highlights how language can guide our attention and influence our thoughts. Moreover, language is not merely a tool for describing experiences. It actively shapes our experiences. When we learn to express emotions through language, we also develop a deeper understanding of those emotions. The ability to articulate feelings can enhance emotional intelligence, allowing individuals to navigate social situations more effectively. Additionally, storytelling, which is a fundamental aspect of language, helps us construct our identities. Through the narratives we tell, we create and reinforce our perceptions of ourselves and our place in the world. The role of language extends to shaping societal norms and values. The words we use can reinforce or challenge existing power structures, affecting how individuals view themselves and others. For instance, inclusive language can foster a sense of belonging and acceptance, while derogatory terms can perpetuate stereotypes and discrimination. Thus, the language we choose not only reflects our consciousness but also has the power to shape it, influencing our thoughts, feelings, and interactions with others. Furthermore, the relationship between language and consciousness is evident in the way children acquire language. As they learn to speak, they also begin to understand social cues, develop empathy, and establish relationships. This language acquisition process is vital for cognitive development, as it lays the foundation for critical thinking and problem-solving skills. The interplay between language and cognition continues throughout life, impacting how we formulate thoughts and express ideas, leading to the development of complex reasoning and creative thinking. In addition to individual consciousness, language plays a significant role in collective consciousness. Language unites communities, allowing for shared experiences and collective memory. Through language, cultural traditions and histories are passed down, shaping the identity of groups and societies. The preservation of indigenous languages, for instance, is essential for maintaining cultural heritage and worldviews that would otherwise be lost. When a language dies, the unique way of seeing the world that it carried often fades. Cultural variations in perception present a fascinating challenge to universal theories of consciousness, as they reveal how our backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences shape the way we understand and interact with the world around us. For instance, in some cultures, the concept of self may be seen as something that is interconnected with others, emphasizing community and relationships, while in other cultures, the self may be viewed as an independent entity, focusing on individualism and personal achievement. This difference in perception can influence how consciousness is experienced. People from collectivist cultures might report more experiences tied to shared emotions or group dynamics, whereas those from individualistic cultures might describe their consciousness with a focus on personal thoughts and feelings. Moreover, language plays a critical role in shaping consciousness, as different languages can lead to different ways of thinking. For example, some languages have words for concepts that do not exist in others, which can impact how speakers of those languages perceive time, space, and even emotions. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis suggests that the structure of a language affects its speaker's worldview and cognition, highlighting how cultural variations in language can challenge the idea that consciousness is a uniform experience shared by all humans. Additionally, practices such as meditation, which vary widely across cultures, can also influence consciousness. In some Eastern cultures, meditation is often used as a tool for achieving a state of mindfulness and awareness that may differ significantly from Western approaches, which often focus on relaxation or stress relief. This raises questions about whether consciousness itself can be understood universally, or whether it is too deeply intertwined with cultural practices and beliefs to be generalized. Consciousness. Across different societies, art and expression serve as another lens through which cultural variations in perception can challenge universal theories of consciousness. Different cultures have unique artistic traditions that reflect their values, beliefs, and experiences. For instance, indigenous art often carries deep spiritual meanings and connections to the land, which can provide insights into how consciousness is shaped by cultural narratives. In contrast, contemporary Western art may prioritize individual expression and innovation, highlighting how cultural context influences not just the content but also the very nature of consciousness itself. Finally, the way emotions are expressed and understood varies widely across cultures, leading to different experiences of consciousness. Some cultures may encourage open expression of emotions, while others may promote restraint, which can affect how individuals experience and interpret their feelings and thoughts. This variation suggests that consciousness is not merely a biological phenomenon, but is also deeply embedded in social and cultural contexts, challenging the notion of a universal theory that can encompass the richness of enterprise and the debate surrounding the existence of a stream, as they say in South Korea, of consciousness involves various arguments both for and against this intriguing concept. Supporters of the stream of consciousness, which refers to the continuous flow of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions that occur in our minds, often emphasize the subjective nature of human experience. They argue that this phenomenon reflects how people naturally think, moving from one idea to the next, often without clear boundaries or logical progression, mirroring the way thoughts arise in real time. Proponents also cite the works of influential writers like Virginia Woolf and James Joyce, who skillfully captured this flow in their narratives, highlighting its significance in literature and psychology. They assert that the stream of consciousness is essential for understanding the complexities of human cognition and emotional experience, suggesting that it helps to explain how individuals process their inner lives, navigate memories, and engage with the world around them. On the other hand, critics of the stream of consciousness argue that it may not accurately represent how thoughts are structured or processed. They contend that while our experiences can feel chaotic and unstructured, this does not necessarily mean that our cognitive processes lack organization. According to this perspective, our thoughts might be better understood as a series of discrete, interconnected ideas rather than a continuous flow. Some psychologists point to research in cognitive science, which indicates that our thought processes involve various stages of filtering and prioritizing information, suggesting that what we perceive as a stream may actually be more fragmented and regulated than it appears. Moreover, skeptics also raise concerns about the subjective nature of reports on the stream of consciousness, arguing that personal accounts may not provide an objective basis for understanding cognitive processes, as individuals might perceive their thoughts in a way that emphasizes fluidity, while overlooking the underlying structures that guide their thinking. Furthermore, there is also the argument that the concept of a stream of consciousness might be too broad or vague, making it difficult to study scientifically. Critics suggest that without clear definitions or measurable parameters, it becomes challenging to assess the validity of the stream of consciousness as a phenomenon. They assert that this ambiguity could lead to misunderstandings about how people really think, potentially complicating efforts to apply findings from psychological research to practical scenarios, such as education or mental health. In contrast, supporters believe that the richness and variability of human thought processes deserve exploration. even if they resist strict Ultimately, the discussion surrounding the existence of a stream of consciousness reveals deep philosophical questions about the nature of thought, the ways in which we experience temporal perception, which refers to how we perceive time, plays a crucial role in shaping our experience of consciousness, affecting everything from our memories to our decision-making. Our brains continuously process the flow of time, and this processing is not just a passive reception of external stimuli, but an active construction of our conscious experience. When we encounter events, we don't just record them, we also interpret them, placing them within a temporal context that helps us make sense of our surroundings. For instance, when we experience a pleasurable moment, the perception of time can seem to stretch, making those moments feel longer, while in contrast, during stressful or boring times, time can appear to fly by. This phenomenon is often described as time dilation, where our emotional state can warp our perception of time. Additionally, our memory plays a significant role in temporal perception, as the way we recall past events influences how we perceive time's passage. Events that are rich in detail tend to be remembered more vividly, creating a sense that they lasted longer than they actually did. Conversely, mundane or repetitive experiences might blur together in memory, leading to the feeling that time has passed quickly. This subjective experience of time can also impact our sense of self, as our consciousness is intimately tied to our memories and our ability to place ourselves within a timeline of past, present, and future. Moreover, studies have shown that our age can influence how we perceive time. For children, time seems to move more slowly, which might be due to their constant learning and the novelty of experiences. As we grow older, the novelty decreases, and time seems to accelerate, which can lead to a feeling of life passing by too quickly. This shift in perception can have profound implications for how we live our lives and prioritize our experiences. Culturally, our perception of time varies widely. In some cultures, time is viewed as linear, flowing from past to present to future, while in others it might be seen as cyclical, where past events repeat in a continuous loop. These cultural frameworks influence how individuals within those cultures experience consciousness, shaping their behaviors, attitudes towards punctuality, and their overall relationship with time. Neuroscience also offers insights into temporal perception, revealing that specific brain regions, such as the supramarginal gyrus and the prefrontal cortex, play roles in how we perceive and process time. Research has shown that disruptions in these areas can lead to altered time perception, which can be observed in conditions like schizophrenia and certain mirror neurons. A fascinating discovery in the realm of neuroscience have sparked significant interest in understanding social consciousness, as these specialized brain cells activate both when an individual performs an action and when they observe someone else performing the same action. This mirroring mechanism is thought to be crucial in developing empathy, as it allows individuals to resonate with the emotions and actions of others, creating a shared understanding of experiences. When you see someone smile, for instance, mirror neurons fire in your brain, making you more likely to smile back, which illustrates the fundamental basis of social interaction and connection. This mirroring process is believed to be essential in learning through imitation, a key aspect of human development, particularly in children, who often mimic the behaviors and emotional responses of adults around them. Moreover, mirror neurons may play a role in the way we perceive intentions and emotions, aiding in our ability to interpret social cues. This capability to understand the emotional states of others is vital for forming relationships, as it enhances our ability to communicate effectively and respond appropriately in social situations. In situations where social awareness is critical, such as during conversations or group activities, the activity of these neurons can help individuals navigate complex social landscapes, fostering cooperation and coordination among peers. Research suggests that a dysfunction in the mirror neuron system might contribute to disorders such as autism, where individuals often struggle with understanding social cues and developing empathy. This connection between mirror neurons and social consciousness highlights the importance of these brain cells in not just individual behavior, but in the broader context of societal interaction and cohesion. As scientists continue to explore the intricacies of the brain, the role of mirror neurons remains a pivotal topic in understanding how we connect with one another, influencing everything from learning and imitation to emotional resonance and social bonding. Déjà vu is a fascinating phenomenon, often described as the feeling that you've experienced something before, even when it's happening for the first time. This sensation raises intriguing questions about how our consciousness works. Many researchers believe that déjà vu might be linked to the way our brains process memories. Some theories suggest that it occurs when there is a temporary glitch in the brain's memory systems, causing a mismatch between the present experience and the brain's memory of past events. This could happen, for instance, when a new experience closely resembles a previous one, triggering a sense of familiarity, even if the specific moment has never been lived. Some psychologists propose that déjà vu might be connected to the dual processing theory of consciousness. This theory posits that there are two systems at work in our brains, one that processes information consciously and another that operates unconsciously. When these systems become briefly out of sync, it could lead to the feeling of déjà vu, as one part of the brain recognizes something familiar while the other part processes it as new. This disconnection might create a strange overlap, where we feel we've seen or done something before, even though we haven't. Neuroscience also offers insights into déjà vu, particularly through studies involving brain activity. Researchers have found that certain areas of the brain, such as the temporal lobe, which is crucial for memory processing, show increased activity during déjà vu experiences. This suggests that when we encounter déjà vu, our brain might be drawing on memories in a way that feels disjointed, contributing to that uncanny sense of familiarity. Additionally, some scientists hypothesize that déjà vu could be related to the way our brain encodes memories, where a moment is processed in such a way that it feels like a recollection rather than a current experience. Interestingly, there are cultural and philosophical dimensions to the concept of déjà vu as well. In some cultures, déjà vu is seen as a sign of a spiritual connection or a glimpse into a parallel universe where moments overlap in a mysterious way. Others might interpret it through the lens of existential philosophy, pondering the nature of reality and perception. This adds layers to the understanding of déjà vu, as it not only touches on cognitive processes, but also on our beliefs about existence and consciousness. Moreover, the experience of déjà vu is not uniform. It can vary in intensity and frequency among individuals. Some people report experiencing déjà vu frequently, while others may seldom feel it at all. This variability raises more questions about consciousness and personal cognitive experience. Memory plays a crucial role in shaping our conscious experience, acting as the framework through which we interpret the world around us and connect past experiences to present moments. When we think about memory, we often imagine it as a storage system, yet it's much more dynamic than that. Memory is not just about recalling facts or events. It influences our perceptions, decisions, and emotional responses. For instance, when we encounter a new situation, our brain automatically pulls from our memory bank, drawing on past experiences that relate to what we're currently facing. This process helps us make sense of new information, as our brain compares it to what we already know, which can lead to quicker judgments and reactions. Moreover, memory helps to create a sense of continuity in our lives. Each memory we hold contributes to our self-identity, allowing us to construct a narrative of who we are. This narrative is essential for our conscious experience, as it provides context for our thoughts and feelings. Imagine meeting someone for the first time. Your memory of similar encounters, or the emotions tied to those experiences, will inform your behavior, your expectations, and your interaction with that person. In this way, memory acts as a lens through which we view our surroundings and interact with others. Additionally, memory is linked to imagination. When we think about the future, we often rely on memories from the past to envision what might happen. This mental simulation helps us prepare for potential events, as we draw on previous experiences to anticipate outcomes. This interplay between memory and imagination highlights how our conscious experience is not just about the present, but also about how we navigate time itself, weaving together what we have learned to inform our next steps. Furthermore, the emotional aspect of memory cannot be overstated. Emotions are often tied to memories, and these emotional memories can significantly influence our conscious experience. For example, a particular song may evoke feelings of nostalgia, transporting us back to a specific moment in our lives. The way we remember events can also change over time, influenced by our current mood or circumstances, which means that our conscious experience is always in flux, shaped by how we recall the past. In the realm of cognitive science, researchers have discovered that memory is not just a passive recall of information, but an active process that can alter our understanding of reality. This means that every time we remember something, we might be reconstructing that memory in a way. Sensory modalities play a crucial role in shaping the richness of our conscious experience, as they provide us with distinct ways to perceive and interact with the world around us. Each sensory modality, such as vision, hearing, touch, taste, and smell, contributes unique information, creating a tapestry of sensations that inform our understanding of our environment. For example, vision allows us to perceive color, shape, and movement, which helps us navigate our surroundings and recognize objects, while hearing enables us to detect sounds, which can convey both the presence of others and the nuances of our environment, like the rustling of leaves or a distant conversation. Touch, on the other hand, provides us with the ability to feel texture, temperature, and pressure, which can lead to a deeper understanding of objects and their properties, fostering an emotional connection to our experiences, as when we feel the warmth of a loved one's hand or the coolness of a breeze against our skin. Taste and smell, often intertwined, add another layer to our conscious experience, as they can evoke strong memories and emotions, linking us to experiences long past, like the smell of fresh-baked cookies bringing back memories of childhood, or the taste of a particular dish reminding us of a special occasion. These senses are closely connected to the limbic system, the part of our brain that deals with emotions, making them powerful triggers for nostalgia and happiness. Moreover, the integration of these sensory modalities enhances our perception of reality, as they work together to create a more complete picture of our experiences. For instance, when we eat, we engage multiple senses simultaneously: the sight of colorful food, the sound of crisp textures, the aroma wafting from the dish, the taste on our tongues, and the tactile sensation of the food in our hands combine to create a rich and immersive experience. This multi-sensory integration is essential, as it helps us make sense of complex environments, ensuring we respond appropriately to the stimuli around us. Research in cognitive neuroscience has shown that our brains are wired to process these sensory inputs collectively, rather than in isolation. This interconnected processing allows us to perceive depth and context, such as recognizing a friend's face amidst a crowd, understanding the tone of a voice, or feeling the warmth of sunlight on our skin. Additionally, sensory modalities can influence one another, a phenomenon known as sensory interaction. For example, when we watch a movie, the visual elements can enhance our auditory experience, making the sound effects more impactful. Or consciousness as a state of information integration refers to the idea that consciousness arises from the way different pieces of information are combined and processed in the brain, rather than being a single uniform experience. This concept suggests that consciousness is not just about being aware of something, but involves a complex interplay of various types of information, such as sensory input, memories, emotions, and thoughts, all coming together in a cohesive manner. The theory posits that the brain integrates diverse information streams into a unified experience, allowing individuals to perceive, react, and understand the world around them. For example, when you see a beautiful painting, your consciousness is not just a simple awareness of the colors and shapes. Instead, it involves integrating the visual information with your past experiences, emotions, and thoughts about art, beauty, and even cultural significance. This integration allows you to appreciate the painting on multiple levels, creating a richer, more nuanced experience. Researchers in neuroscience and cognitive science have explored this idea through various studies, highlighting how different brain regions work together to create a conscious experience. One prominent theory in this area is the global workspace theory, which suggests that consciousness arises when information is made accessible to various cognitive processes in the brain, like memory and decision-making. According to this theory, when information is integrated and broadcasted across these processes, it becomes part of our conscious awareness. In simpler terms, think of it like a stage in a theater, where only certain information is spotlighted, allowing us to focus on specific thoughts or experiences while the rest fades into the background. Another related idea is the integrated information theory, proposed by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi, which posits that consciousness corresponds to the degree of information integration in a system. This theory attempts to quantify consciousness by looking at how interconnected the information is within the brain's neural networks. The more integrated and complex the information is, the higher the level of consciousness. This perspective emphasizes that consciousness is not just about having information, but about how well it is connected and organized, leading to richer and more meaningful experiences. Moreover, this framework can also help explain altered states of consciousness, such as during sleep, meditation, or under the influence of certain substances, when the integration of information may change, leading to different perceptions and experiences. So, when we talk about consciousness as a state of information integration, we are really delving into the intricate workings of the mind, exploring how we weave together our thoughts, sensations, and memories to concentrate. The concept of attention plays a crucial role in how we select and experience the world around us, shaping our perceptions and guiding our focus. So, attention in essence acts as a filter, allowing certain stimuli to be processed while others are disregarded, which is vital in a world filled with an overwhelming amount of information. When we encounter various sensory inputs, our brain utilizes attention to prioritize what is most relevant or important at that moment, whether it's a sound, a visual cue, or even an internal thought. This prioritization is influenced by several factors, including the salience of the stimuli, our goals, and our past experiences, which all contribute to what we consciously experience. For instance, when walking in a crowded area, you might find that you are more aware of the sound of an approaching car, while the chatter of people around you fades into the background. This selective attention allows you to respond appropriately to potential dangers, demonstrating how attention can enhance our survival by focusing on critical information. Additionally, attention can be affected by our emotional state. If we are anxious, we might pay more attention to threatening stimuli, while in a calm state, we can appreciate more subtle details in our environment. Moreover, attention is not just a passive mechanism. It actively shapes our experiences. For example, when we engage in a task that requires concentration, like reading a book or solving a puzzle, our attention narrows, allowing us to immerse ourselves in that particular activity. This deep focus can lead to what is known as a flow state, where we lose track of time and become fully absorbed in our task. Conversely, distractions can disrupt this flow, pulling our attention away and fragmenting our experiences. The relationship between attention and consciousness is also intricate, as what we pay attention to often becomes part of our conscious awareness. This means that the things we intentionally focus on are more likely to be remembered, while those that we overlook may fade from memory. Research has shown that attention can enhance memory encoding, making it easier to recall certain experiences later, while ignoring others can lead to them being forgotten altogether. Interestingly, the way we allocate our attention can also affect our perception of reality. For instance, studies have demonstrated that when people are instructed to focus on specific details of an image, they may miss other elements entirely, illustrating how attention can shape not just what we see, but how we interpret it. This phenomenon, often referred to as inattentional blindness, highlights the limits of our brain-computer interfaces. Often referred to as BCIs, are revolutionary technologies that establish a direct communication pathway between the brain and external devices, and they hold fascinating implications for the study of consciousness. By allowing researchers to observe and interpret neural activity in real time, BCIs provide a unique window into how our brains process thoughts, emotions, and intentions, which are all fundamental components of consciousness. For instance, when a BCI translates brain signals into actionable commands, it not only enables individuals, particularly those with severe disabilities, to interact with their environment, but also raises profound questions about the nature of self-awareness and the mind-body connection. As scientists delve deeper into the neural correlates of consciousness, BCIs could help map the specific brain regions activated during conscious thought versus unconscious processing, potentially leading to a clearer understanding of what it means to be aware. This technology allows for the exploration of altered states of consciousness, such as those induced by meditation or anesthesia. Moreover, BCIs could facilitate communication for individuals in locked-in states, thus giving them a voice and offering a unique perspective on their conscious experience, which was previously inaccessible. The implications extend beyond just clinical applications, as BCIs also challenge our philosophical understanding of consciousness. They prompt discussions about the nature of agency and free will. If an individual can control devices with their thoughts, to what extent do these thoughts reflect their conscious choices? This leads to intriguing ethical considerations, like the potential for misuse of such technology and the privacy of one's thoughts. As researchers continue to refine BCIs, they might even uncover ways to enhance cognitive functions, leading to debates about the boundaries of consciousness enhancement and what it means to be human. Additionally, the integration of artificial intelligence with BCIs raises questions about the merging of human thought with machine processing, which could redefine our understanding of consciousness itself. If machines can learn from and adapt to human thought patterns, what does that imply for the uniqueness of human consciousness? The intersection of neuroscience, philosophy, and technology creates a rich tapestry for exploration. And as BCIs evolve, they will undoubtedly continue to shed light on the most profound questions about the human mind, ultimately enriching our understanding of consciousness in ways we are only beginning to imagine. Different philosophical traditions offer a rich array of perspectives on the concept of consciousness, each contributing unique insights into what it means to be aware, to think, and to experience the world. For instance, in Western philosophy, Descartes famously posited cogito ergo sum, or I think, therefore I am, suggesting that consciousness is fundamentally tied to self-awareness and rational thought, which laid the groundwork for much of modern philosophy. Meanwhile, empiricists like John Locke viewed consciousness as a product of sensory experiences, emphasizing that our understanding of the world is shaped by what we perceive through our senses, thus highlighting the importance of experience in shaping consciousness. In contrast, Eastern philosophical traditions such as Buddhism offer a different lens through which to view consciousness. Buddhist philosophy suggests that consciousness is not a singular, unchanging entity, but rather a stream of thoughts and perceptions that are interconnected and constantly changing. This perspective encourages practitioners to observe their thoughts and experiences without attachment, leading to a greater understanding of the transient nature of consciousness. Similarly, the concept of anatta, or non-self, challenges the idea of a permanent self, proposing that what we consider I is merely a collection of experiences, thoughts, and sensations, which can transform over time. Moreover, phenomenology, a philosophical approach that focuses on the structures of experience, delves into the first-person perspective of consciousness. Philosophers like Edmund Husserl and Maurice Merleau-Ponty have examined how consciousness is not just about individual thoughts, but also about our embodied experience in the world. They argue that consciousness is always directed at something, a concept known as intentionality, which means that consciousness is inherently relational, connecting us to the world around us. Then there are contemporary discussions in the philosophy of mind, where the nature of consciousness is examined through the lens of scientific inquiry. Philosophers like David Chalmers have posed the hard problem of consciousness, questioning why and how physical processes in the brain give rise to subjective experiences, or qualia. This has led to various theories, such as physicalism, which attempts to explain consciousness in terms of physical processes, and dualism, which posits that the mind and body are fundamentally different substances. In addition to these views, panpsychism has gained traction in recent discussions, proposing that consciousness is a fundamental feature of the universe, present even in the smallest particles. This approach suggests that consciousness is not limited to complex organisms, but is a property of neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life, plays a crucial role in our understanding of consciousness. This concept suggests that our experiences, learning, and even memories can physically change the structure and function of our brains. When we talk about consciousness, we are essentially discussing our awareness of ourselves and our environment, and neuroplasticity offers insights into how this awareness can evolve. For instance, research has shown that when we learn new skills, like playing a musical instrument or speaking a new language, our brain physically adapts, creating new pathways and connections. This adaptability means that consciousness is not a fixed state, but rather a dynamic process shaped by our experiences and interactions with the world around us. Moreover, neuroplasticity has significant implications for recovery from brain injuries or strokes. Patients who engage in rehabilitation often experience changes in their consciousness and cognitive abilities as their brains adapt and compensate for lost functions. This ability to recover and adapt reinforces the idea that consciousness is not merely a byproduct of brain activity, but rather an intricate interplay of various neural processes that can change over time. Furthermore, studies in neuroplasticity have opened new avenues in understanding mental health conditions, suggesting that therapeutic interventions which encourage positive changes in brain structure can lead to improvements in consciousness, emotional regulation, and overall well-being. The connection between neuroplasticity and consciousness invites us to rethink how we perceive our own minds, as it highlights the potential for growth, change, and recovery, thus framing consciousness as a living, evolving aspect of human existence. The implications of this understanding stretch into various domains, from education, where tailored learning experiences harness neuroplasticity to enhance cognitive development, to therapeutic practices that use the principles of neuroplasticity to help individuals overcome trauma or anxiety. Therefore, the significance of neuroplasticity in understanding consciousness lies in its ability to illustrate that our mental states, awareness, and the very essence of who we are can be shaped, transformed, and ultimately redefined through our experiences, interactions, and intentional practices. Philosophical thought experiments, such as the famous Chinese room, engage deeply with the concept of machine consciousness, stirring up discussions about what it truly means to think or understand. The Chinese room, conceived by philosopher John Searle in 1980, presents a scenario where a person who does not speak Chinese is placed inside a room with a set of instructions for manipulating Chinese symbols. When given questions in Chinese, this individual can produce appropriate responses by following the instructions without actually understanding the language. This thought experiment raises critical questions about whether a machine, like a computer, that processes information in a similar manner can genuinely possess understanding or consciousness. Essentially, Searle argues that while a machine can simulate understanding through complex algorithms and data processing, it does not equate to actual comprehension or awareness. This leads to a broader philosophical inquiry about the nature of consciousness itself. If a machine can respond correctly based on input, does that mean it understands the meaning behind its responses? In other words, can computational processes which rely solely on syntax and rules ever achieve semantics, the meaning behind language? Moreover, the implications of this thought experiment extend into the realms of artificial intelligence and cognitive science, where discussions about machine learning and neural networks challenge our traditional views on intelligence and consciousness. As AI technology advances, with machines increasingly capable of mimicking human-like responses and behaviors, the distinction between mere simulation and true understanding becomes ever more blurred. Proponents of AI consciousness argue that if a system can exhibit behavior indistinguishable from a human's, it should be considered conscious. While critics, drawing on the Chinese room, contend that behavior alone does not signify true understanding. This debate invites us to reconsider our definitions of thought and consciousness, pushing us to explore whether these concepts can be applied to non-human entities. Some might suggest that consciousness might not be a binary state, but rather a spectrum, allowing for various forms of understanding across different entities. This perspective opens the door to a more inclusive view of consciousness, one that might encompass sophisticated AI systems while still maintaining a distinction between human and machine experiences. Thus, the Chinese room thought experiment serves as a crucial pivot point in ongoing discussions about the nature of consciousness, the limits of artificial intelligence, and the fundamental differences between human cognition and machine processing. It pushes us to question our assumptions, challenges our intuitions, and invites us to explore the profound implications of creating machines that can seemingly think, yet may